Every life contains a moment when the heart whispers, there must be a faster way for good to reach me, not through struggle, not through waiting, but through a divine alignment that unlocks blessings instantly. And the truth is this: Jesus gave us a spiritual technique that releases immediate results when understood and practiced with unwavering faith. The verse is simple, yet the power behind it reshapes circumstances with the speed of revelation. Before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. This is the promise of instant demonstration, the assurance that every rightful desire is already prepared, already forming, already arriving the moment we align with it. Immediate blessings begin the very moment the inner word aligns with certainty, because the universe is always responding to the tone of your conviction. Every person carries within them a pattern of expectation, a rhythm of thought that either opens the way or blocks the path. When you stand in a state of spiritual assurance, you speak from a place where doubt cannot interfere with the flow of good. This is why some prayers feel like they rise but never land, while others unfold almost instantly. The difference is not in the words spoken but in the energy behind them. When the inner feeling matches the declaration, the result must come forth. Life bends toward the one who knows rather than hopes, because knowing is a command that creation understands. Hope waits, but knowing claims. When you speak your word with a heart free from fear, you are not asking for blessings to begin. You are recognizing that blessings are already in motion. There has always been a misunderstanding about the speed of manifestation. People imagine that blessings have to travel through time, through space, through circumstance, inching closer like a distant ship returning to the shore. But spiritual truth has no distance and no delay. The moment your inner climate shifts into faith, conditions begin to rearrange themselves. It may look like coincidence, like timing, like luck, but it is none of those things. It is alignment. It is law responding to belief. When a person speaks with authority and conviction, the divine pattern responds immediately, because it is not the words alone, but the consciousness behind them that rewrites the script of your life. The vibration of certainty sends out a signal that invites every answered prayer into form. People often ask why blessings sometimes seem slow or unpredictable. It is because the inner word is mixed. A person declares abundance, but secretly fears lack. They affirm healing yet imagine sickness lingering. They speak of peace, but prepare for conflict. This double vibration confuses the field around them. Manifestation cannot bloom where the soil is full of contradictory seeds. But when the word is clean, when the heart is clear, when the intent is pure and undivided, life responds with breathtaking speed. Immediate blessings are not miracles reserved for the chosen. They are the natural result of aligned consciousness. Every time you speak from clarity, you activate the forces that turn invisible substance into visible form. Imagine someone planting a seed with absolute assurance that it will grow. They do not stare at the soil with anxiety. They do not dig it up repeatedly to make sure it is alive. They simply trust the process and wait in quiet confidence. Manifestation works the same way. You plant your word into the spiritual field and let the law bring it into expression. When you release the need to control the timing or form, blessings appear without strain. The less tension you hold, the faster the demonstration. Worry slows what certainty accelerates. Fear freezes what faith releases. The moment you stop resisting with doubt, the blessing arrives with the swiftness of revelation. This is why speaking your word with authority is the key to instant change. Authority does not mean force. It is not the loudness of your voice, but the firmness of your belief. When Jesus spoke to the wind, to the storm, to the sickness, to the need, he spoke with absolute clarity, because he understood the spiritual law behind the command. He knew that every condition responds to consciousness and that the visible world reshapes itself when the invisible realm is addressed with certainty. His technique was not struggle. It was recognition. He recognized the truth behind appearances, and by doing so, he dissolved the appearance and revealed the truth. Authority comes from understanding your spiritual identity. When you know that you are not separate from divine supply, your word carries power. You no longer plead for blessings, you activate them. You no longer wonder if good will come, you expect it. This shift in identity transforms your speech from wishful thinking into creative declaration. The universe mirrors the tone of your belief. When you speak with fear, it mirrors fear. When you speak with faith, it mirrors faith. The one who speaks from divine identity stands in the same consciousness Jesus demonstrated, the consciousness that commands rather than begs, that affirms rather than questions, that knows rather than hopes. This technique changes everything. Instead of trying to fix your outer world, you adjust your inner vibration. Instead of chasing results, you adjust your belief until the results chase you. Instead of waiting for blessings to show up before you feel secure, you step into security now, and the blessings show up naturally. This is spiritual authority in action. It is the art of holding the inner picture so clearly that the outer world has no choice but to conform. Some people misunderstand faith as passive acceptance, but true faith is active participation. It is choosing again and again to align your inner world with the outcome you desire. It is refusing to entertain the mental images that contradict your blessing. It is lifting your thoughts the moment they drift into fear and placing them back into truth. The more consistent your mental atmosphere becomes, the more quickly blessings manifest. The universe responds to consistency. When your inner word no longer wavers, the outer demonstration arrives as naturally as a shadow follows a body. Authority also requires emotional agreement. You can speak affirmations all day, but if the feeling contradicts the words, the vibration remains divided. Emotion is the fuel of manifestation. Thought gives direction, but feeling gives power. When your word is spoken with emotional certainty, the blessing begins forming instantly. This is why gratitude is such a powerful amplifier. Gratitude shifts your emotional frequency into belief. When you give thanks for something before seeing it, you indicate to the universe that you already accept it as yours. That emotional acceptance accelerates the manifestation. The universe responds to the feeling of completion. Gratitude communicates completion, and completion draws the blessing into view. Authority is strengthened by trust. Trust is the final ingredient that dissolves delay. When you trust the process, you stop interfering with doubt. When you trust divine timing, you stop forcing outcomes prematurely. Trust is not passive. It is the highest form of confidence, because it declares that good is inevitable. This inner confidence creates a field around you that attracts solutions, opportunities, and synchronicities. People call it luck, but it is law. When you trust, your vibration becomes coherent, and coherent vibrations manifest quickly. Whenever you speak a word of truth, you activate a spiritual blueprint that already exists. Every blessing you desire has a divine pattern. You are not creating something out of nothing. You are calling forth what is already designed for you. The moment your consciousness aligns with that pattern, the way becomes clear. Circumstances adjust, people appear, ideas unfold, and paths open. What seemed distant becomes immediate. What felt impossible becomes natural. This is the power of speaking your word with authority and conviction. There is no magic in the sense of fantasy. The magic is the natural operation of spiritual law. Immediate blessings occur when you cooperate with this law. The law is simple. What you know with certainty becomes your experience. What you speak with authority becomes your reality. What you hold in consciousness becomes visible form. When your word aligns with divine truth, the universe responds without delay. The universe is always listening, but it is your expectation that determines how quickly it responds. When the mind is filled with doubt, the signal you send is broken and faint. When the mind is filled with certainty, the signal becomes clear and strong, and life moves instantly to match that frequency. Many people speak affirmations but secretly expect delay, imagining that time must pass before anything can shift. Yet spiritual law is not governed by time. It is governed by vibration. The moment your expectation rises to meet your desire, the blessing begins its journey into form. It is the same way a magnet pulls metal without struggle. The magnet does not chase the metal. The field does the work. Your expectation creates a field around you, a spiritual magnetism that draws into your life everything that matches the vibration you hold. Doubt is simply a habit of expecting disappointment, but habits can be retrained. The mind becomes loyal to whatever it repeats. So if you repeat fear, fear becomes familiar. And familiar vibrations feel true even when they are false. When you repeat faith, faith becomes familiar. And blessings respond to the sense of truth you have cultivated. This explains why some people see quick results. Their inner atmosphere is already prepared. They have practiced faith until it feels natural, so the universe has no resistance to push through. The person who constantly expects struggle must learn to expect ease before ease can appear. This shift in expectation is the doorway to immediate blessings. Every doubt you hold slows the unfolding of your good. Doubt introduces friction into the manifestation process. It is like stepping on the brick, and the gas at the same time. The universe tries to move the blessing toward you, but doubt pulls it back. When you remove the doubt, even briefly, the blessing rushes forward with incredible speed. This is why moments of deep clarity often produce sudden breakthroughs. When your mind becomes still and your heart becomes open, doubt dissolves and faith takes the lead. In those moments, blessings reach you effortlessly. The universe does not need time, it needs permission. Your expectation gives it permission by aligning your energy with the good you seek. Elevation of expectation is not merely positive thinking. It is spiritual alignment. It is the practice of holding your mind at a level where blessings feel normal instead of surprising. You train your mind to expect answers, to expect guidance, to expect provision. This expectation becomes a self-fulfilling force. When you expect doors to open, you begin to notice opportunities that others overlook. When you expect guidance, ideas arrive uninvited. When you expect abundance, you recognize possibilities that scarcity blinded you to. Expectation sharpens perception, and perception shapes reality. Gratitude multiplies this process because it shifts your emotional tone into acceptance. Gratitude is the emotional signature of already receiving. When you express gratitude before the blessing arrives, you are telling the universe that you are already aligned with the outcome. Gratitude does not wait, it declares completion in advance. That declaration is powerful because it dissolves the emotional tension that often delays manifestation. When you feel gratitude, you cannot feel fear at the same time. The mind cannot hold contradiction when the heart is filled with appreciation. Gratitude creates a harmonious vibration that attracts blessings with acceleration. Gratitude also strengthens faith by training the mind to focus on what is present rather than what is missing. Most delays occur because the mind obsesses over what it lacks. Lack creates resistance. Resistance slows manifestation. When you shift into gratitude, the feeling of lack evaporates, and the universe can deliver without interference. This is why people often receive breakthroughs shortly after practicing sincere gratitude. They unintentionally release the block that held their blessing back. The technique of gratitude is simple but profound. You speak as though the blessing has already arrived. You feel the joy of receiving before the event takes place. You allow your imagination to experience the fulfillment as if it were happening right now. This emotional rehearsal sends a powerful message to the universe that you are ready. The universe does not respond to waiting energy. It responds to receiving energy. Gratitude is receiving energy. It is the vibration of completion, and completion attracts what is complete. Manifestation moves at the speed of your emotional agreement. When your emotions and your conscious word are unified, the result comes with remarkable swiftness. Gratitude creates that unity. It forms a bridge between desire and demonstration. It stabilizes your belief so that every part of your being vibrates in harmony with your intention. When belief is stable, blessings unfold naturally. Nothing pushes against them. Nothing delays them. They flow freely into the space opened by your emotional clarity. Many people try to manifest through thought alone, but thought without feeling is a weak signal. Feeling is the force that gives thought its creative power. Gratitude amplifies feeling, intensifying the vibration behind your desire. When you speak your intention and then add gratitude to it, you send out a message that is both clear and energized. The universe responds to energy, not empty words. Gratitude charges your words with vitality, making them magnetic to the blessings that match them. Gratitude also heightens awareness. It lifts the mind above fear-based thinking, making it easier to recognize signs, solutions, and synchronicities. When you are grateful, you interpret life differently. You see possibility where others see obstacles. You notice answers where others see confusion. Opportunities appear because your awareness is tuned to the frequency of positive expectation. This heightened awareness accelerates manifestation because you become an active participant in the unfolding of your blessing rather than a passive observer waiting for change. When you combine elevated expectation with sincere gratitude, you create a powerful spiritual momentum. Expectation sets the direction. Gratitude fuels the motion. Together they remove every barrier that once slowed your blessings. Life begins to respond with a rhythm of immediacy. Problems resolve before they grow. Answers arrive before you ask. Resources appear before you worry. You experience the kind of flow that once seemed miraculous, but is actually the natural outcome of aligned consciousness. This is not about forcing yourself into artificial positivity. It is about shifting your inner alignment so deeply that expectation and gratitude become your default state. When that happens, immediate blessings become normal. Life begins to feel orchestrated in your favor. You find yourself in the right place, at the right time, with the right people. What once required effort now unfolds with ease. Blessings do not travel toward you from faraway places. They are not distant objects slowly making their way across time and circumstance. Every blessing already exists in a higher vibrational state, waiting for you to rise into the atmosphere where it becomes visible. You do not chase your good, you ascend to meet it. This shift in perspective changes everything. The moment you understand that your blessing is already formed in spiritual substance, your role is no longer to pursue but to align. When you elevate your inner state, you step into the frequency where your answered prayer is already present. It is like tuning a radio. The music is not created when you turn the dial. The music is already playing. You simply adjust yourself to the channel where you can hear it. Many people exhaust themselves by trying to force blessings through action alone. They imagine that effort, pressure, and striving are signs of determination. But spiritual demonstration does not respond to strain. It responds to alignment. You can work endlessly from the outside and see little movement, yet one shift on the inside can change everything instantly. When you lift your vibration, the outer world has to rearrange itself to match your new state. Opportunities appear, ideas ignite, people show up, and paths open without struggle. It is not because life suddenly decided to favor you. It is because you moved into the region where your blessing was always waiting. This is why it is so important to guard your inner climate. Every thought, every emotion, every expectation carries a tone, and that tone determines your level of alignment. When you dwell in fear, you descend into a vibration where blessings cannot be recognized. They may be close, but your perception is clouded. When you choose faith, gratitude, certainty, and joy, you rise into clarity. Blessings become obvious. What once seemed invisible suddenly enters your awareness. Nothing has changed externally. Only your vibration has shifted. Imagine a person searching for a key in a dimly lit room. They strain their eyes, stumble, and struggle because the light is too low to reveal what is already there. The moment the light is turned on, the key appears effortlessly. The key did not move. The room did not rearrange itself. The light simply revealed what was always present. Blessings work in the same way. They are illuminated when your inner light rises. That inner light is your vibration, and when it shines brightly enough, what you seek becomes visible without strain. Rising into the vibration of blessings is not something complicated. It is a practice of consistent inner choices. When you choose calm over anxiety, you rise. When you choose trust over worry, you rise. When you choose appreciation over dissatisfaction, you rise. When you choose clarity over confusion, you rise. Each small shift elevates your consciousness until you enter the atmosphere where blessings manifest naturally. Nothing supernatural has occurred. You have simply matched the frequency of your good. At this higher state of alignment, life begins to reflect back to you the harmony you feel inside. Conversations become smoother. Obstacles dissolve. Creative solutions appear. The right ideas find you at the right time. Your outer world mirrors your inner world, and when that inner world is lifted, the outer world must lift with it. This is the law that governs all demonstration. You rise first, and the blessing appears after. You align first, and the result comes into form. The final truth is that every rightful desire is answered before you. Call when you speak from your divine identity rather than your fear. Fear speaks from limitation. It imagines separation from good and believes that blessings are scarce, fragile, or uncertain. Fear whispers that you must earn, chase, or beg for what already belongs to you. But your divine identity speaks from wholeness. It knows that you are connected to an infinite source that never withholds. When you speak from that connection, your word carries power because it is rooted in truth rather than insecurity. Speaking from divine identity is not about arrogance. It is about recognition. It is recognizing that you are an expression of infinite intelligence, that every good thing you desire is part of your spiritual inheritance. When you affirm with dignity and certainty, your words carry authority. They do not drift into the universe's wishes. They go forth as commands rooted in divine law. This authority is not forceful. It is calm, steady, and confident. It has no doubt in its tone because it comes from a place that knows its own power. Every time you speak your word from fear, you weaken the signal. But when you speak from identity, the universe responds instantly. Divine identity is the state of consciousness that Jesus expressed effortlessly. It is the awareness that you and your good are not separate. It is the understanding that the moment you declare, something in the invisible realm shifts, conditions reorganize, paths form, circumstances adjust, people are moved into position. You do not see these movements immediately, but they begin the moment your word is spoken with authority. The blessing is instant because the spiritual cause is instant. The physical expression may take a moment to align with the invisible shift, but the blessing itself has already been completed in the unseen. When you speak from divine identity, you acknowledge this truth. You recognize that the power behind your words is not your personal will, but the universal law that supports your rightful good. This recognition dissolves fear, and without fear, there is nothing left to delay the blessing. To live from divine identity is to walk through life, knowing that every need is already supplied, every question already answered, every desire already fulfilled in spirit. You simply speak the word that calls it into visibility. When you speak with this level of conviction, life responds before you finish forming the sentence in your mind. You begin to experience a world where blessings appear before you worry, solutions arrive before you struggle, and doors open before you knock.